Hi everyone and welcome back. Happy New Year. I think this is my first official sit down video since the new year, so yeah, thought I'd just say Happy New Year. Probably gonna go up in the middle of the month and but people say Happy New Year until like the end of Jan. But anyway, Happy New Year. In today's video I am going to be talking about some of the books on my NetGalley shelf. The reason I thought to do this was simply because I read a book over Christmas that was on my NetGalley shelf because I was the books that I brought down with me, I was like, I don't want to read this. And I didn't actually bring another fiction book to read, so I was just like, I've got to go with the my Kindle, and I just thought, let me try and clear out my NetGalley list. Last year I actually stopped myself from requesting a lot of books to read on NetGalley because I just find obviously the reviewing process, it's not tedious or anything like that, I'm just lazy, so I don't want to be requesting so many books and then having to do all these reviews. And there are some books that I've read that I haven't even reviewed, so I thought that would be a really good reason why I should do this video, because I can talk about some upcoming books but also some past releases as well that I just haven't spoken about on my channel otherwise. There was just, they might come up in a recent reads, but you're getting them now. So yeah, I'm just going to go through the list. I think actually I've got 9 books on my NetGalley that are due for review, and I think I've actually read 3 of them. I'm only going to talk about 7 of them because 2 of them are from 2020, so I don't know if they'll be of much interest. The first book I'm going to speak about is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. I spoke about this in my reviewing 2021, and I spoke about the plot of it. I got the plot completely wrong. It is to do with Agatha Christie and that her disappearance. Whatever year she disappeared for those 11 days. But I think this is actually from the perspective of the other woman. So the reason why I think they say that Agatha Christie disappeared was something to do with her husband Archie and him having an affair and leaving her for another woman, and it's from the perspective of that woman, and it's about her life, I think, her life in Ireland and her history, and basically about the disappearance, but from this person's point of view. It is a fictional account, so it's not the true story of that woman. I don't even know if that woman has anything to say about that disappearance in the time. So I got it completely wrong. I don't know what I said in that video. Not completely wrong. I said it was about the disappearance, but I thought it'd be more to do more of a focus on Agatha Christie. The focus is not on her at all. So to actually give you more of an insight into it, if it's a book that sounds like something that you want to read, I will read you the Goodreads blurb. So it's actually quite a long blurb, I'm not gonna lie. It says, a long time ago in another country I nearly killed a woman. It's a particular feeling, the urge to murder. First comes rage, larger than any you've imagined. It takes over your body so completely it's a divine force grabbing hold of your will, your limbs, your psyche. Yada yada yada, so whatever. So begins the Christie Affair, told from the point of view of Miss Nana O'Dear, a fictional character but based on someone real. In 1925, she infiltrated the wealthy, rarefied world of author Agatha Christie and her husband Archie, a world of London townhouses, country houses, shooting parties and tennis matches. Nan O'Dear became Archie's mistress, luring him away from his devoted wife. In every way, she became part of the world, first both the Christies, then just Archie. The question is why, and what does it have to do with the mysterious 11 days that Agatha Christie went missing? The answer takes you back in time to Ireland, to a young girl in love, to a time before the Great War, to star-crossed couples who were destined to be together until war and pandemic and shameful secrets tore them apart. And then it just has some other bits about questioning. So this is really very much a historical fiction novel, which I didn't know. I just thought it'd be a bit of a mystery kind of vibe. I just saw The Christie Affair and ran with it. Obviously I did read the NetGalley. I feel like it read a little bit differently than the one that is on Goodreads. I could be wrong, but that is what this book is about. So if you're into historical fiction, which I know loads of people are, this might be something you're interested in. Obviously I'm particularly interested in because I'm just interested in the life of Agatha Christie. Not that interested actually. I was intrigued to hear that it said here about the whole sort of London townhouses, country houses, shooting parties and tennis matches, because obviously I read the books, and whilst a lot of the characters are based in wealthy settings and things like that, I didn't actually really think of Agatha Christie's life and how that changed. I get loads of snippets from the All About Agatha podcast that I listen to, but otherwise I don't really think about how wealthy Agatha Christie was. So yeah, that's that book. The other book that's on my NetGalley shelf is Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? And that is by Lizzie Damilola Blackburn. I have actually read this. That's a book that I read in December. I really enjoyed this book, and I don't want to talk about it too much here because I'm going to, well, I can tell you obviously about it, but I'm going to actually review it in another video. I'm going to wrap up my Vlogmas video finally, my final one, and review it there because I actually enjoyed that book. I liked it so much. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because it became as many contemporary sort of fiction romance novels are, it's kind of romance, it became very predictable towards the end, and like it wrapped up very quickly. But I thought it just had some really funny laugh out moments. So Yinka, Where Is Your Husband is about our character Yinka. She is, I think she works in an investment bank or something like that. She's like an ops manager there. She has a house, she has her career, she just doesn't have the man. And her family, well mainly her mum and her mum's sisters, so her aunties, just always asking her where her husband is. And this is very much based on like Nigerian stereotypes, but I say this, I grew up in a Ghanaian family, and like when I was younger we went to these little parties and stuff like that. The way these aunties were behaving is exactly how I saw them behaving, and this is like amplified tenfold by the fact that their family are religious, so this always takes part in a church setting. So to them, like, marriage is very important and settling down. So essentially it's about the fact that everyone keeps asking her where is her husband, and her sort of mission to find herself a man. It delves in a little bit more than that, because she has a younger sister who has got married before her, so that adds more pressure to her. And then I think and this isn't like a spoiler or anything like that, because it's the reason why she sort of decides to do all this change, not because of the pressure, but because I think one of her friends is also getting married and she doesn't want to go without a date. So in that sense you can sort of see that sort of Bridget Jones reference that people reference about it, but it's just got that quite nice spin of it being a Black British sort of Nigerian element added into it, because it's very much focused talking about the foods they eat, but then also the sort of pressure, and the way they talk is just so funny. Because to me, I can imagine the way all the aunties are saying it makes everything 100 times funnier when they're saying it, like they're completely roasting her, and they take liberties as these African aunties do. But that is what that book is about her quest to find someone for her friend's wedding, and we just get to come along. It does, end a bit unconventionally, but it's got all the sort of tropes in there, but it's a very nice, well written book, even if it's based on stereotypes that, in this case, are very accurate. I can't even imagine how amplified like the thought of finding someone to settle down is in a church setting. So I think the author did a really, really great job. The next book is from an author that I really, really enjoy, a poet that I really, really enjoy. Like, I've spoken about her works countless times on my channel. I think this one is actually more of a self-help book, like for writers, and like it's a non-fiction book, and that's The How by Yrsa Daley-Ward. I haven't gotten around to picking this up just simply because I think I really enjoy her poetry, and this is something new by her. But actually, as someone who is a poet and I write poetry, I feel like this year I should actually read it. Actually, when I'm going through on the video, I'm really sorry, I will put like the release dates of these books. Like, some of them might have already come out and some of them are probably like due to come out as well, so I'll put them on the screen. But I'm pretty sure The How is already out. It came out late last year. So The How, what is The How about? So the full title is actually The How, Notes on the Great Work of Meeting Yourself. It says here, okay, let me ignore that bit. In The How, Yrsa encourages readers to begin, as she puts it, the great work of meeting ourselves. This isn't the self we've built up in response to our surroundings, or the self we manufacture to please the people around us, but instead our most intimate self, the one we visit in dreams, the one that calls us from a glimmering future. I don't know why I paused like that there. With a mix of short lyrical musings and her signature stunning poetry, okay, so there is bits of poetry in there, Yrsa gently takes the readers by hand, encouraging them to join her as she explores how we can remove our filters and see and feel more of who we really are behind the preconceived notions of propriety and manners we've accumulated with age. What a long sentence. With a beautiful design and intriguing meditations, The How can be used to start conversations, to prompt writing, to delve deeper, whether you're solo or with friends, or on your feet, or writing from the solace of home. Oh, okay, so I thought it was more of a guide to like help you write poetry, but I guess, yeah, it's about discovery yourself. So there, like I said, it's the sort of self-help aspect. I'm intrigued by this. I actually think I'm going to pick this up sooner rather than later, based on now like reading that blurb, because obviously I had in my mind what it was, but now I feel like, actually I could do with that. It sounds quite nice, and obviously I really enjoy her work. Full reference, previous works of hers that I have read have been The Terrible, which I think is, no, it's not her first one. I think that's been her second collection, but her debut was Bones, which I think she self-published, and then it was picked up by Penguin. And yeah, I just love her. I actually saw her talk live. I think I said this before, like 2 years ago when I did see her, but I saw her talk live when I think The Terrible came out, and that was really nice. She was really lovely. The next book on my NetGalley shelf is In Every Mirror She's Black by Lola Akimade Akastrom. I remember requesting this because I think the author is Swedish, yes, or she's based in Sweden. But it is about black women in Sweden, and this is just not something I've ever read before, you know? Like, in terms of reading about black women, I read about black women in Britain, black women in the States, black women in the continent of Africa. I've never actually read like anything, obviously this is fictional, but anything about black women in like other European countries. Like, I actually really don't think I have. So I thought this would be quite nice, especially because the author herself is based in that country. I assume she spent a lot of time there. I don't know if she was born there, but she seems to have a Swedish surname, so she might have been born there, she might have married someone who's Swedish. I don't know. I'm not really going to deep dive into her life. But I remember as well wanting to pick this up because it's about 3 black women in Sweden, and I just thought it would be nicely based on friendship, and it might remind me a little bit of like the Sundowners by Leslie Loco. I was really, at the time I requested this last year, looking for something on a similar vibe to that. Again, I'm just going to read you the blurb so you can get more of an insight if it's something that you might be interested in. It says here, 3 black women are linked in unexpected ways to the same influential white man in Stockholm as they build their new lives in the most open society run by the most private people. Okay. Successful marketing executive Kemi Adeyemi is lured by the US to Sweden by Johnny von Luden, CEO of the nation's largest marketing firm, to help fix a PR fiasco involving a racially tone-deaf campaign. A killer at work, but a failure in love, Kemi's move is a last-ditch effort to reclaim her social life. A chance meeting with Johnny in business class en route to US propels former model turned flight attendant Brittany Ray Johnson into a life of wealth, luxury and privilege, a life she's not sure she wants as the object of his unhealthy obsession. I think that is what reminds me a little bit of Sundowners, because in Sundowners there's one wealthy girl, and yeah, she sort of changes careers, and like the trajectory of her life is clearly not what anyone thought it would be based on the fact that she was super rich. And then the final one, a refugee, Muna Sahid, who lost her entire family, finds a job cleaning the toilets at Johnny's office as she works to establish her residency in Sweden, and more importantly seeks connection and a place she can call home. Told through the perspectives of each of the 3 women, In Every Mirror She's Black is a face-past, richly nuanced yet accessible contemporary novel that touches on the important social issues of racism, classism, fetishization and tokenism, and what it means to be a black woman navigating a white-dominated society. And I'm just so here for hearing about this, but in that European context. Like, it just, I don't know why I feel like it would be so different, but in the same vein, like, I sort of know why I think that as well, because it's different culturally over there, even though Britain is largely a white dominated society. Like, I've heard loads of stories based in Britain and based in the US, so I'm ready to hear something else. Yeah, nothing else to hear about the blurb. The author is African American, actually. She's Nigerian American, but she's based in Sweden, and this is her first novel. Okay, so there's more info about the author, but yeah, I think this sounds really good, so actually I don't know why I've been putting off reading it. The next book on my NetGalley shelf is Valhalla by Nikki May. I have actually read this. I'm so lazy when it comes to leaving reviews. I can't believe I've not left a review for this, because I definitely read it in the middle of 2021. This book had a really interesting premise. So this is billed as a thriller book, and the thriller aspect came way too late. To me, it's more of like a contemporary novel. Like, that's what it is. But this book is really fun. It's really fun because it has loads of fun elements of books that I like. So this is about the friendship of 3 girls. I am going to look at the blurb because I need to remember their names if I really want to give you a good review about it. Okay, so it's about 3 girls, Ronke, Boo and Simi. This book is actually so funny to me in some parts, right? And I love the title Valhalla. I'm just so here for it because there's so much Valhalla going on in this book, and you're just like, what's going on? So one of the characters, Ronke, it says here she wants happily ever after, and she's dating KOD, and I really liked Ronke's character because she cooks a lot, and the author really takes the time to talk about the food that she's cooking and really showed that Ronke has a really good passion for cooking and food, and I just loved it. It wasn't something that I was expecting, so instantly, like in the beginning when it started doing that, I was like, yes, I'm so here for this. And then the other character is Boo. She has everything that Ronke wants: a kind husband, a gorgeous child. So I think Ronke she's black, whereas I think Boo and Simi might be mixed race. I cannot be 100%, but there is definitely something to do with that in here. And Boo, the one who has everything that Ronke wants, her husband is French, he's white, and then I think their daughter will then be mixed race, or at least between sort of that. And then Simi Simi's the golden one with the perfect lifestyle. No one knows she's crippled by imposter syndrome. Simi's the one with the high-flying lifestyle, you know, high-paying job, and the husband as well, really kind husband. Again, I also think her husband is white. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is talked a lot about in the book, and it makes it's a sort of commentary about like these women. What's the word I'm looking for? I cannot remember the word I'm looking for, but it's a commentary about like being black, light-skinned, all those sorts of things, and sort of the kind of people or men that these women marry, and how they feel about that, essentially. So really what a large part of this book takes place is looking at all these different women, their dynamics, their relationships and their friendships. And then in comes a character named Isabel, who does sort of come in like in the first quarter of the book. I think she's friends with Boo or someone, or Ronke. She's friends with one of them. I think she's friends with Simi. And then she sort of infiltrates the group and basically just starts like telling lies and just pitching people against each other, essentially. You know, this friendship group breaks up and you're not really sure why Isabel is doing this. And there is this whole sort of talk about like these girls, their fathers, and how they actually knew each other, their fathers and the mothers, and how they actually knew each other. I think they knew each other from Nigeria, and now this book is set in London. And yeah, Isabel comes in to just stir up rubbish. And throughout the book, that, you know, I think there tries to be a sense of building of a thriller, but for me it just read as a normal like fiction book about three girls and their friendship. You sort of get to three quarters of the way in the book and you're like, hold on, isn't this meant to be a thriller? Like, what's the thrilling aspect of this? You're literally just reading about three girls and their friendship, and how like Boo just be out here destroying her relationship because Boo hates that husband. I don't know why. Isabel's making her hate her husband and her little daughter. She hates them. Just reading about her was so funny because she's an unlikable character. Like, there's no redeeming qualities about her really. But I was reading the book and I was like, why is this woman like this? But yeah, so in comes Isabel to like stare at some shit. And yeah, I don't want to explain about the element of the thrill and what she does, but in the last quarter, there is stuff that Isabel does that you're just like, whoa, completely left of field, if I'm honest with you. That's what made me give the book, I think I gave the book 3 stars. Yeah, I gave the book 3 stars, but it does explore like culture and what that means, like sort of them being in Nigeria and having to adapt to like being in London, and how they might have changed in ways. It also explores friendship, it explores relationships, but yeah, it also, I guess, explores sabotage, betrayal, and all those sorts of things. That's the thing with thrillers. You can't really review too much because then you give away the actual element of it. But I would just be aware that actually I feel like this is definitely more of a novel that's based on friendship and exploring those relationships than it is more based on the thrill element. The thrill element come left of field. Some of the things that happen, I'm like, no, like someone would be arrested. There's no way that this will just go off, this will just pop off. You might have loads of money in Nigeria, but it works differently when you're in a different country. Like, you would go to jail. So those are my thoughts on Valhalla, but I would recommend reading it. Like, I think the food elements are really nice, talking about the friendship and how people just end up in sort of relationships or situations that they don't enjoy. It's a really good exploration of that as well. So the next book that's on my shelf is Conversations on Love by Natasha Lund. This is actually an essay collection, so it's got many contributors. And yeah, I picked it up because I saw one contributor and I was like, hey, I like her work, and that is Dolly Alderton. But also there are other authors on there that I really enjoy their work. So one of them is Alain D. Button. He is like the owner, founder of the School of Life, but he also has written some other books that I really, really enjoy. I'm gonna sneeze. There is also an essay in here by the Belgian psychologist Esther Perel. Guys, she has a podcast which I listen to sporadically because also I feel like she does her podcast sporadically. I don't know, but honestly, it's about like relationships, and they just have people on there. Like, I remember the last one I was listening to was like, I think it's a woman and either her husband is Jewish or she is Jewish, and it's just talking about like how that sort of affects their relationship because their mother-in-law the guy's mother-in-law is quite horrible, and about her job and how that affects their relationship as well as his job. I think he was like a surgeon or something. Her job is unknown because apparently she does something like kind of top secret, so she can't really say. And it's just looking at relationships and just different situations and how these affect different things. And she's asking these people all these questions, and you're just like sometimes listening to it like, oh, like I don't mean it in a sort of Jerry Springer way. Like, she really is trying to help them cope with any issues that they have. It's a really wonderful podcast. But sometimes I find it very intense, so I don't listen to it all the time. So there are some really good names in here that I recognise that I really wanted to like just read it, and obviously it's conversations on love. And like I said, I think a lot of obviously Dolly's work is catered towards talking about love, so I knew like at least her essay could be great. And then I saw the other names and I was like, this is great. But it says here, it's a celebration of love in all its forms, featuring conversations with, and then listing a whole bunch of authors. So other authors that people might be interested in are Candice Carty-Williams, Lisa Taddeo, I know she wrote the book Animals, Roxane Gay. So I'm sure there are plenty of other contributors, but yeah, that's what sold it to me. And obviously I love essay collections, so that's great. Man, what's wrong with reading about love? Everyone likes reading about love. That's true, that's not true, they don't. But I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And the final book on my shelf, which I have read and haven't reviewed, is Murder, the Biography. I keep saying a biography every time I mention this book, but it's the biography by Kate Morgan. Now, I have briefly spoken about this before, but I am actually going to do my top like non-fiction books for 2021. So I'm just going to talk about the book and review it there. But those are all the books that I have on my NetGalley shelf, bar 2 that I haven't mentioned. But yeah, I hope some of these have piqued your interest and they're books that perhaps you may want to check out. If I had done written reviews of any of these books by the time this video goes out, I will link them down in the description section below to my Goodreads account, and you can just visit my Goodreads account to see what I rated these books. Anyway, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye!